Welcome to Vantage Aditya. There is a rule powerful people almost never say openly. But if you observe leaders, entrepreneurs, and highly respected individuals carefully, you will notice something unusual. They rarely ask for favors. Not from colleagues, not from friends, not even from people who respect them. And this is not arrogance. It is strategy. Because the moment you ask for a favor, something invisible changes. Your leverage shifts. The psychological balance of the relationship moves, and a silent transaction begins. Most people think favors are harmless, but in reality, favors are one of the most misunderstood power dynamics in human relationships. Once you understand them, you may begin avoiding them entirely. Let us explore why. Reason 1. Favors create invisible debt. A favor is never just help. It is a transaction without a price. When money is exchanged, the transaction ends. But when a favor is exchanged, the transaction stays open. The human brain activates a psychological trigger called reciprocity. If someone helps you, you feel obligated to help them later. This obligation may never be spoken, but it exists. And over time, that invisible obligation becomes leverage. This is why experienced leaders prefer clear exchanges. Either pay for help, or they return value immediately. Nothing remains hanging. Nothing remains owed. Reason 2. Favors reduce perceived competence. In professional environments, perception is powerful. People constantly observe signals of capability. How someone handles problems, how someone deals with pressure, how someone solves challenges. A person repeatedly asks for favors, the brain forms a silent conclusion. This person cannot manage alone. Even if that judgment is unfair, perception becomes reputation, and reputation shapes opportunity. On the other hand, individuals who solve problems independently send a very different signal. Competence, reliability, authority. Over time, those signals build trust and leadership presence. Reason 3. Favors shift power dynamics. Every relationship contains an invisible balance. Not dominance, but balance. Respect usually exists when both individuals appear independent, but repeated favors slowly change that structure. One person becomes the provider, the other becomes the dependent. And dependency almost always reduces perceived status. That is why highly respected individuals protect their independence carefully. If they need something, they prefer a transaction. They pay. They exchange value. Or they collaborate. But they avoid creating dependency. Reason 4. Favors create psychological leverage. Human behavior is strongly influenced by reciprocity. Once someone does something for you, refusing them later becomes difficult. You feel pressure to return the favor. That pressure is where influence appears. The person who helped you now has subtle control. Not official control, but psychological control. And people who understand power dynamics try to avoid situations where others gain leverage over them. That is why they prefer clear exchanges instead of favors. Reason 5. Frequent favors destroy the scarcity of your requests. Scarcity increases value. If someone constantly asks for help, their requests slowly lose importance. People begin to ignore them. But if someone rarely asks for help, the rare moment they do becomes significant. People listen. People respond. Because the request is unusual. Powerful individuals protect this scarcity carefully. They do not waste requests on small problems. They solve those problems themselves. Reason 6. Independence builds personal power. Struggle builds capability. Every time you solve a problem independently, your thinking becomes sharper. Your confidence grows stronger. Your resilience expands. But when problems are constantly solved through favors, something dangerous happens. Your problem-solving ability weakens. Dependency slowly grows. And dependency erodes personal power. That is why highly capable individuals develop a habit. Before asking anyone for help, they first ask themselves, how far can I solve this on my own? This mindset builds extraordinary strength over time. Reason 7. Respect follows self-reliance. In personal life, Favors can also change relationship dynamics. When one person constantly asks for help, the relationship slowly shifts. One person becomes the helper, the other becomes the dependent, and dependency quietly reduces admiration. Respect grows when people stand on their own feet. Self-reliance creates admiration. Constant reliance creates responsibility, and responsibility rarely produces respect. This is why highly independent people often receive help without asking. Their strength attracts voluntary support. Final thought. There are two ways to move through life. One path relies on favors. You ask people to solve problems. You depend on others when challenges appear. And slowly, your independence weakens. The other path builds power. You solve problems yourself. You exchange value when help is required. And you protect your freedom carefully. Because independence is one of the strongest signals of capability. And when people see that signal, something powerful happens. Respect appears. Trust appears. Opportunities appear, often without you asking for anything at all. Also, do not forget, giving favors can create leverage. When you help people at the right time, in the right way, and without immediately asking for anything in return, you quietly build influence. People remember who helped them when they needed it most, and that memory becomes a form of social capital. But there is a smart way to do this, and a very dangerous way. Give too many favors, and people take you for granted. Give them strategically, and you build quiet influence. If you would like to see a video on how powerful people use favors strategically to build influence, let me know in the comments. Because that topic reveals an entirely different side of human psychology, and it might change how you see generosity forever. Subscribe to Vantage Aditya for more insights on leadership, psychology, and the hidden dynamics of power. Because the most powerful rules in life are often the ones nobody explains.